So if you're working anywhere near AI, you've definitely heard the term RAG, right? Retrieval-Augmented Generation. It's pitched all the time as this magic bullet for the biggest headaches with large language models. Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain and get a real look at what's actually happening.
This is the line, right? This is the promise we hear constantly. It sounds so simple, so powerful. It's exactly what we want. An AI that's reliable and knows our specific stuff.
But of course, you know how it is. In the world of engineering, it's never that simple. That clean, simple promise, it hides a ton of complexity and some really subtle risks that can absolutely bite you in production if you aren't paying attention.
Okay, let's start by just tearing apart that main promise. The idea that RAG somehow makes a model truthful is honestly pretty misleading. And figuring out why that is, well, that's step one to actually using it the right way.
This is the absolute key. RAG doesn't upgrade the model's brain. It doesn't make it better at reasoning. All it does is put blinders on it. It narrows the model's world down to a tiny little piece of text you just gave it and hopes, really hopes, the answer is in there. It's like an open book test where the student is only allowed to look at one random page you picked out for them.
So to really get why this is so tricky, we have to look at how it works. It's basically a two-step dance, and it sounds really simple, but the devil is, as always, in the details.
So here's the dance. Step 1. Retrieve. Your system dives into all your documents, your knowledge base, and fishes out a few little chunks of text that it thinks are a good match for whatever the user asked. Step 2. Generate. It takes those little chunks, hands them to the language model, and says, "Okay, genius, answer the question using only this information."
Now, just looking at those two steps, does anything feel a little shaky? Where could this whole thing just fall apart before the LLM even starts typing?
Yep, right there. Those two words. Seem relevant. That is the Achilles heel of this entire setup. See, the retriever isn't looking for what's true. It's not looking for what's correct. It's just looking for what is mathematically similar to the words in the question. And that is a huge, huge difference.
You have to get this in your head, because it's everything. The system might find a piece of text with all the perfect keywords, but it's from a policy that expired 2 years ago. The retriever has no idea. It doesn't know what correct even means. All it knows is similarity. And this is where things start to fail silently.
Now, hold on. I'm not saying RAG is useless. Not at all. Actually, when you use it for the right kind of problem, it is fantastic. So let's talk about that sweet spot, the place where RAG is exactly what you need.
RAG is at its absolute best when it's basically being a supercharged search engine. You want it to find an answer that's already written down pretty much word for word in your documents. The questions need to be simple, factual, not some deep analytical thing. And maybe most importantly, if the answer is a little bit off, it's not the end of the world. This is the perfect zone for it. Think about questions like, what's our return policy? Or what are the specs for this product? The answer is just sitting there in a document somewhere, waiting to be found and maybe paraphrased a little. For this stuff, RAG is a total game changer. Okay, but here's the trap. This is where so many projects go off the rails. They have a great demo with those simple questions, and then they just assume RAG can handle much more complex stuff. And that, my friends, is how a great demo becomes a total nightmare in production. Yeah, this chart just lays it all out. On the left, you've got the sweet spot, paraphrasing a single source. On the right, the danger zone, trying to synthesize ideas from 3 different documents. RAG loves a perfect, complete knowledge base. It completely falls apart if it happens to grab an incomplete or outdated chunk. It can find a fact, but it has no ability to fill in the logical gaps between facts. And this is the scariest part. When a RAG system fails, it doesn't give you a 404 error. It doesn't say, "I'm sorry, I couldn't find that." No, it gives you a beautifully written, perfectly fluent, completely confident, and totally wrong answer. And it will even cite the wrong source as proof.
Let me paint you a picture. This happens all the time. A sales rep needs to know, right now, if they can offer a special deal to a big customer. So they pop the question into the company's shiny new internal AI assistant.
The RAG system goes to work. It scans the company's internal wiki. It finds a document about special deals. Perfect. It has all the right keywords. The only problem? It's the policy from last year, and things have changed.
So what does the AI do? Well, only seeing that old document, it spits out a perfect, confident yes. It even cites the specific policy section, making it look super official and trustworthy. The sales rep is thrilled and moves forward. But here's the kicker. The current policy has a brand new exception clause,
for this exact type of customer, and that little detail is in a separate, updated PDF somewhere else. The retriever missed it, so the model never saw it. The system gave an answer that looks right, feels right, but is dangerously wrong.
And it's not just about getting bad answers. There are these real-world, practical costs to building a RAG system that people just seem to forget about when they're getting all excited.
Think about it. Every single question now has an extra search step, which means more delay, more latency. You've also got two complicated systems that can break, the retriever and the generator, which makes debugging a total mess. And how do you even test if it's working? You have to check if the retrieval was good and if the generation was good. It's way harder.
So if RAG isn't this magical silver bullet, how should we be thinking about it? What we need is a much more realistic mental model. We need to see RAG as a specific tool for a very specific job, not some cure-all.
This right here is probably the most important thing to remember. Think of RAG as a junior research assistant. Its job is to run to the library and grab some notes for your real expert, the LLM. But if that assistant brings back the wrong notes or leaves out a critical page, well, even the smartest expert in the world is going to give you a bad answer. RAG improves the input, not the intelligence.
And really, that's the question you have to ask yourself about your own project. Are you using RAG like a precision tool for a simple, factual lookup job where it excels? Or are you leaning on it like a crutch, hoping it's going to magically fix a much deeper problem you have with your data or your whole system's design? The answer to that question is going to be the difference between a system that actually works and one that's just waiting to fail.